Welcome back to another episode of ROC Boys football. We're coming back at you at the draft house. If I look horrible, I do. I feel horrible. Apparently, the exclusive diet of goldfish and Bud Light not good for the body. But we got college football coming up, so I'm battling through it. We having a good weekend, and we're talking some Oklahoma UTEP game one preview. Before we get into it again, just want to say thank you guys for all the support, especially the Sooner fans. We've had a blast talking OU football all offseason. There's not really a program that my brother and I are more excited for than the Oklahoma Sooners. We appreciate you guys checking us out. So if you do like the content, consider subscribing to the channel. Dill, I'm going to kick it to you. Oklahoma should win this game. And that's not me overlooking a team like UTEP. They are a solid football team, but OU just has the firepower that UTEP won't be able to keep up with. What I want to talk more about is new coach, new OC, new quarterback. What do you want to see from this team heading into week one?
I think you're excited for the Venables era, and I think at the end of the day, people want to see that physical, aggressive football that I think has been missing in the Big 12 in general, maybe until Aranda got to Baylor and started to play that defense like he's in the SEC, where you're blitzing, you have defensive linemen that are playing at a high level and being super disruptive. So I kind of just want to see if their defense, if they turn it up and look like the Clemson defenses that Venables had that were so great.
That's a lot of the talk heading into the year is around Dillon Gabriel, what the offense looks like, the wide receivers. I'm more excited to see what this OU defense looks. Alex Grinch recruited really well. He had you think about last year and the talent they had, guys like Perrion Winfrey, Nick Benito, Brian Asamoah, loaded to the gills with talent, and it never really seemed to come to fruition with a dominant defense. Brent Venables is known for developing good defense and scheming up good defense, and I'm excited, kind of what you are saying, to see a new brand of OU defense, a defense that swarms the opposing offenses.
Almost like when you think of Bosworth's defense, like those were heavy, in your face, aggressive defenses. Like, are we going to see that come back to Oklahoma and play that more traditional, not like the opposite of what the Big 12 is? Because everybody knows that is very bend but don't break. Venables is, I'm not giving an inch ever. You're going to earn everything.
And that's what I'm most excited to see is another defense kind of like a Baylor defense that you mentioned, but a more talented team like this. Baylor has some talent on their defense side of the ball, but the talent that OU has on defense is special. It's probably the best in the Big 12. And I'm excited to see that being paired up with a defensive-minded coach that I want to take it to opposing offenses. I don't want to be on my heels and just try to stop you in the red zone, which is kind of what OU had done in the past. And I'm really you think about the transformation into the SEC in the next couple of years. That's how you win football games in the SEC. You don't win with that bend but don't break. You win by smothering opposing offenses. And I hope that's what we see starting with UTEP.
That UTEP's not a great team. I mean, they're not like in the Oklahoma League. Everybody knows that. But I think you can still tell because Oklahoma would give up yards to bad teams in the past. That's like it was very opportunistic, like wait and try to take advantage of a penalty or something. I think you'll still be able to see if this Venables defense, if he's going to come in and transform it into those Clemson defenses. Like, again, what that Georgia Clemson game was, that was neither team giving an inch. Every play was hyper aggressive play calling, blitzes, like man coverage, just like those defenses.
On the offensive side of the ball, I didn't mean to say that I'm not excited to see what this offense looks like either, because the talent on the offense side of the ball, we're start with Dillon Gabriel. Excited to see what him and Jeff Lebby can cook up. I think Dillon Gabriel, if you think of a perfect quarterback to fit that Jeff Lebby system, it is Dillon Gabriel, a guy who can throw on the run, who can extend plays, and is just very, very accurate with the football. Peak Dillon Gabriel is one of the better quarterbacks in college football. And I'm excited to see to see how he looks with some legit NFL talent around him. I mean, Marvin Mims, most people know Marvin Mims. Guy that not many people are talking about is Theo Weiss. Drake Stoops as a slot guy is really talented. And then we watched the spring game. Guy like Jaden Gibson, Jaleel Farouk. The talent in this pass catcher room is really special. You pair that up with a really good OC and a really good quarterback in Dillon Gabriel, I think they're going to make some noise.
Yeah, And I'm kind of like, I think Oklahoma fans are ready to get back to, I mean, that was a choppy offense they were running last year. It never seemed like it had any rhythm. And I think what Levy does and what he did at Ole Miss was very much the opposite. It was very rhythmic, play very fast, get the ball out quickly, no mistakes. I mean, last year was very much Caleb Williams, snap the ball, run around, and see what you can do. And yet he has talent, and that worked at times. But I don't think you saw the consistency. I think what they want from the Levy offense and the Dylan Gabriel offense is a smoother, just less mistake ridden, because there's just too much of that last year, and Venables isn't going to tolerate it because he wants to.
And I don't think there's a better quarterback in the country than Dylan Gabriel to run that kind of system. A guy that in that short intermediate range is just a dead. I mean, he can make any throw on the football field, but when I watch Dylan Gabriel, it really flashes how good he is with those intermediate throws across the middle. Another thing that's not getting talked about as much is this running back room. I get you lose a guy like Kennedy Brooks, who's very good. Eric Gray was a guy transferring over from UNC last year that I was really excited about. Didn't really come to fruition. I think it's his backfield to kind of take over. You have guys like Marcus Major, who's been there for a while and is good, and then Javante Barnes, who's an absolute stud true freshman. I'm really excited to see what they do with a guy like Eric Gray, that if you get him out in space, there's not many backs in the country that can make people miss better than Eric Gray.
Yeah, and you got to think you'll have a pretty solid offensive line.
Very good offensive line.
You got two tackles who are going to be pros, and
yes,
and I'm sure there's going to be enough talent in the middle to be good. So I think that these skill position players are going to have their opportunities to show what they can do, and again, that's going to be very important because you just didn't see enough consistency last year, and I think that you kind of count on the defense being really good, but you do want to see those offensive skill players especially kind of let it rip and see what they can do in a more traditional offense that's designed to get them going, not as much designed to have a quarterback play hero ball.
Agree. And in terms of covering 31 points, I'm not taking OU to cover. Not to say that I don't think they can cover 31. It's just not really my kind of bet to take a 30. Like, a lot of things can happen in garbage time. I think OU runs away with this game. And what you kind of want to see is, as you get into conference play and some of those bigger games, the new pieces. I mean, the one down part, the one question mark I have with OU is not who they have at head coach, who they have at quarterback, or any personnel. It's just how well can all these new faces come together and gel? Because this team can win the Big 12 championship this year. Oh, yeah. I know they'll be very successful down the road with Brent Venables. I don't have a problem seeing that. This year, though, if we're talking about winning the Big 12 in your last year there, I think you need to see this team come together with a lot of new faces, and that's kind of what I want to see the most against UTEP.
Yeah, and again, that's not like a bad game to start out with. Give players more of a chance. Like, you're not starting out with one of those big out-of-conference games like a Clemson, Georgia kind of thing. So you're going to have time to get everyone on the same page. And you're right. That's at the end of the day, there was turnover on this team. I think everybody knows that. I mean, when Lincoln left, the structure of the program changed. So I think you are going to see something different. But at the end of the day, I don't think it's a bad different. I think Lincoln Riley was kind of staying his time there. It wasn't getting – the program wasn't like on course to take the next step. Like, they were playing really good offense typically, but never really being in the range of the Alabamas, the Georgias, the Clemsons. Like, so I think you're just kind of ready for the new era, because it didn't seem like Lincoln was going to take them to where Stoops had it when Stoops had it really rolling.
I'm so ready for the new era of Oklahoma football with Brent Venables. You know the ROC Boys are absolutely fired up. You got 2 games. You got UTEP, you got Kent State, and then you're going on the road to Memorial Stadium in Lincoln, Nebraska. That's the game that you need to have these pieces come together. You will not lose against UTEP. You won't lose against Kent State, even if you don't play your best football. Nebraska's a very talented team. It's an old rivalry game. You got to make sure you're playing good football. When you go on the road, it's a very hard place to play. They got 2 games to figure it out. I'm extremely excited to watch OU on Saturday. Guys, appreciate you guys checking us out as usual. If you do like the content, you are a Sooner fan, you like talking Sooner football, consider subscribing to the channel. We appreciate you guys, and we'll talk to y'all later.